Hey guys, it's Peter Chen, recording another 500 Zoom video. I've been uploading every week, so subscribe if you want to see me play more poker. On table one, I think this hand is supposed to be a fold. Consider opening it because of the short stack behind, although it's not a great hand to be playing against a short stack. I'm just assuming that short stacks are weaker players. There are good players who play short, but it seems like there's less and less of those nowadays. On table one, defending big blind against small blind with king three suited. I think if we face a bet, we're just mostly going to be calling this hand. And against a check, we want to be betting polarized, and this is a little bit too strong to be betting. Now folding to the overbet on the turn. On table one, three betting small blind against button with pocket sevens. And on table two, opening kings from the button. On monotone boards, we want to be mostly checking, betting small sometimes. This seems like a good hand to be checking a lot. And on table two, I'm just going to be putting all the money in with my kings. Checking again on the turn on table one. Now I could consider bluffing this. I think I'm going to check though. I do have a lot of worse hands to be betting. All my worst pairs, sixes through fours, and also just high card hands. I have a lot less high card hands since they're more likely to be betting either the flop or turn, but should still have some of those when I'm checking back so much of my range. On table one, three betting pocket kings, small blind versus hijack. And I think on this flop, we want to be betting half pot. On table 1, I opened cutoff with king queen suited. On this flop, I think we get a bunch of big betting, so have a pretty good hand to do it with as well. Maybe one of the best hands to be betting big. I think on this turn we want to be betting pretty infrequently and betting very big when we do it. Basically saying we can beat a jack. This is a good hand to say we can beat a jack with. As we see, there are some rivers where we can actually beat a jack and then not sure if we want to be shoving here. I don't think Jack 10 is a huge part of his range. He had 2 opportunities to raise it already. Jack 9 might be. That being said, I think we're getting called by King Jack, Queen Jack, Ace Jack. Lower jacks as well, probably. And I don't think he has the offsuit Jack 9. So not too much that beats us. On table 2, opening under the gun with Ace Queen suited. And betting quarter pot on the flop. On table 1, opening cutoff with King 6 suited. On table 1, we're going to be 3-betting small blind versus button with pocket sixes. I was thinking very hard whether to open that 6-5 suited or not on table 1. It's a mixed open, so I'm not that sad that I timed out with it. This 6-5 on table 2, I could 3-bet sometimes, mostly call. And I will be calling this flop bet. So check through on the turn, and I'll be checking again. I think if I face a bet, I'll be calling. On table 1, I opened button with ace kings offsuit. I think this is a flop where I get a bunch of checkbacks, and I'm going to check back my hand. And I'll call 1-bet on the turn and probably fold the river. Once it checks to me, I'm going to check back. On table 2, opening hijack with queen jack off, and on table 1, 3-betting button against hijack with ace king offsuit. This is a flop where we'll want to be betting a lot. I'm not sure about the sizing. I think we get to bet big sometimes, bet small sometimes. On table 2, I called big blind against button with queen 6 suited. This 2 turn is pretty good for me to be betting big. I'm not sure if my hand is strong enough to do it though. I think if I'm just choosing big bets, I might have to check this back sometimes. So I'll just check this back and go for a bet on the river. Now that he's checked twice, it's pretty likely I'm not up against a 2-pair or better. On table 2, opening under the gun with 10-9 suited. I'm not too surprised by that slow play with pocket 10s. I probably have all 16 combos of ace queen and probably some queen 9 suited as well. And also the higher sets. But mostly I am expecting to just get called by a king. Table 1, good hand to be betting with on the river. I have king high, I have a diamond. And on table 1, 3-betting cutoff against hijack with ace 4 suited. I think I want to be continuing with this hand a lot. On table 2, 3-betting hijack against under the gun with pocket nines. And on table 1, opening button with queen 6 suited. Rake's a pretty big factor in these games, and even more of a factor at lower stakes, which is the reason why I'm 3-betting hands like this. I'm going to start with a small bet on the flop. I think in rakeless games, hands like this will mostly be calling, but when we have to pay rake when we see a flop, that really disincentivizes calling. If you're playing micros where basically rake is like 5% uncapped, it's going to be pretty bad to call in most spots pre-flop. You just have to play very tight. But even all the way up to 2-5, rake is pretty high. So on table 2, I opened the cutoff with ace 6 suited. I think I have a good hand to be betting with. And on table 1, I 3-bet pocket 10s and get 4-bet. I'm going to call this. If I had jacks or queens, I would be a lot more happy to shove and get it in. And I'll check, and king high flops are extremely bad for whoever called the 4-bet. So I think even though I have a pair, I can be folding this on the flop. This might be a big mistake though. I think I'll call if I have a diamond and fold without the diamond. Hopefully I'm not making a huge mistake, although I can see it being a mistake either way. I'm just very unsure what to do in that spot. On table 1, opening aces under the gun. Oh, we get called by 2 players. I think we want to be checking always, checking our hand always. Or maybe just checking a lot on the monotone flop. And now definitely calling the bet. Good turn for us to be calling again if we face a bet. It's a pretty small bet, but I don't know how much I should be raising. I think if he has a spade, I would rather call and let him bluff the river rather than putting in a bet and having him call. And I'm maybe missing a bit of value from a jack if I call. I think mostly he just has bluffs and middle strength hands with that sizing. Maybe it'll be bad to run into a flush by raising. So not really sure. I still kind of want to raise the turn, but I don't know if my hand is strong enough. So on table one, I called blind versus blind with king queen. My hand is basically a mid-strength hand, and I always want to check it. And folding to this big bet on the turn. On table one, opening cutoff with king 7 suited. On table two, opening small blind with 10-9 offsuit. The small blind's another spot where rake is a huge factor. Even with rake, limping the small blind is a reasonable strategy, but it's really not making me that much money to play a limping strategy. And it's making the other guy lose a lot of money, and all of that is going to rake. So I guess I'll be nice and just play raises. And a much bigger mistake if you're at lower stakes and the rake is higher to be limping from the small blind. Then I think you would just be costing you and the other player money. On table two, opening cutoff with king jack offsuit. And on table one, 3-betting small blind against hijack with aces. Table two, I opened king queen suited. We get 3-bet. I have a reasonable hand to be 4-betting a bunch of the time. I could also call. In later positions, I'll be always calling this and raising hands like King 10, King Jack. In early position, I'll raise King Queen, King Jack. On table 1, opening under the gun with Queen Jack suited. On table 2, I'm going to defend my big blind three ways. It's 6-4 suited. Flop a lot of pretty weak backdoor draws here. Hopefully we can check and see a good turn. I'm not going to be calling any bets. On table 1, I'll be calling three ways with 8-6 suited. Not really sure how weak of a hand I can call here. Like if I had 8-5, would I still be calling? Facing this big bet, I'm going to fold. I think I would fold against a small bet as well with 8 high. I do have some backdoor draws with it. But in a three-way pot, we need a pretty strong hand to be continuing. On table 2, opening cutoff with pocket kings. On table 2, 3-betting cutoff against the gun with ace jack suited, and on table 1, opening hijack with king 8 suited. With the ace jack, I'll be calling this 4-bet here. And I'll also be ending the video after this hand. If he bets small enough, I'll call, but anything over a quarter of the pot, I'll be folding. So this will be a bet that I'll be floating once to, there are a lot of good turns I can get. Any spade, ace, king, 10, 9. And if I face another bet, I'll be folding here for sure. If he checks, I think I have some weaker hands that I can bet with, so I don't have to be betting this. I might have some 10-9 or Jack 10, maybe some ace 5, ace 4. Thanks for watching, guys, and see you next week.